life with you all. She was a dear friend to me, and I will always remember the kindness she showed to me. Mary was both sweet, sassy, loyal, compassionate, and opinionated all at the same time. There's nothing she wouldn't do for her friends. She loved a good time and wasn't shy about dancing or singing or flirting in a crowd. She was the life of any party. I and everybody who knew her could never forget her wonderful laugh. In fact, you often knew she was in a crowded room even before you saw her by the sound of that laugh. Sometimes she would get to laughing so hard she could hardly get the words out to tell you what was so funny. She had a quirky sense of humor, and often just being around her was uplifting. She could make you feel better when you knew things were not going well for her, especially health-wise. Mary was a champion of the underdog, no matter what. Many times, if she was riding with me in the car, she'd ask me to pull over so she could give someone by the side of the road some money. She didn't care what they needed it for. She just gave from her heart. She always thought of those who were away from loved ones at the holidays. Many of us were the recipients of her hospitality through her orphan dinners. She loved her family, and especially her grandchildren. I'll never forget when her granddaughter was accepted to Auburn. She was moved to tears and bursting with pride. She called them all her grandbabies, regardless of how old they were. As someone who doesn't always make close friends, mostly of my own choosing, I considered Mary a dear friend. She never judged me. She took me as I was. She listened to all my joys and sorrows with the same care and intensity. She was a great friend. I'm glad I knew you, Mary. I miss you. Roger, can you play us a song?
I'm not sure. You'll have to be the judge.
How do you turn this off then?
Oh, you just want to play.
Off.
Off, yeah. Good. Well, I had two. Oh, good. I need a microphone. That's great. Maybe I can get this set up somehow so that it won't go away. And, I had two songs, but I'll only do a little bit of one. Because I think you've all pretty much indicated that you knew Mary pretty well. Because everything I've heard from everyone certainly describes the way I see her and my memories for her. I particularly like Joni's comment. I tried to keep Mary, when we'd have a house concert, and I would suggest to our artists that they not mention Tennessee. So, I mean, what would she, when somebody said Tennessee, what would she do? Woo-hoo! Let's hear it. What would she, yeah. Woo-hoo! Cold on shackles and a ball and chain. Listen to the whistle of the evening train. You know you bound to end up dead if you ever get back to Tennessee, Jed. That's what it seemed like to me. Rich man step on my poor head. When you get back, you better butter my bread. You know it's just like I said. You better head back to Tennessee, Jed. Tennessee, Tennessee, there ain't no place I'd rather be. Baby, won't you carry me back to Tennessee? I didn't know this song and I still don't. I ran into Charlie Fall. Well, he blacked my eye and he kicked my dog. My doggy, he turned and he said to me, let's head back to Tennessee. Woke up and was feeling mean. I went down and played a slot machine. Wheels turned round and the letters read, better head back to Tennessee, Jed. Tennessee, Tennessee, there ain't no place I'd rather be. Baby, won't you carry me back to Tennessee? It sure seemed like that was Mary, and I'd just like to say that, you know, the great soliloquy from Hamlet was wonderful, but I kind of picture her in Two Gentlemen from Verona.
Okay, so I'm gonna tell a story, and then I was gonna ask Barb if she would play that song, Old Dancing Fool.
All right.
Okay. Well, Mary was an outlaw, basically. As you could tell by the Marilyn Beaver episode, and she was a wild woman. In her younger days, I don't know if she told many of you this story, but she used to work in a bar, and in this particular bar they had a swing that swung over the tables, and they had a girl in that swing who wore a very sexy outfit, and for a while that was our Mary. And she got paid to do that. But my personal experience with the outlaw in her, well, there were many times, but one I remember in particular was, I think this was around 2010. I had my kitchen remodeled, and I had hired Sears to do this. I didn't hire local people, which was probably a mistake, because the contractor came from Denver. And he did a good job, but there was a problem. His truck broke down at my house, and he got a friend to come and pick him up. He went back to Denver, and I never saw him again. So, well, how to get rid of this truck? I tried calling him, I tried calling Sears. Nobody knew how to find him. It was like he had dropped off the face of the earth. And, well, it turns out that if you don't own a vehicle that is on your property, you cannot legally remove it. And I could not get anyone who was willing to tow it off my property. So one day, I was recovering from surgery at home, and I had a neighbor back then whose name is Paul LeBlanc, who some of you remember. The also infamous father of Matt LeBlanc, who was on Friends. But anyway, he was in our circle, and he was a friend of Mary's, and he was always up to do something wild. So one day they just decided they would tow that truck off of my property and leave it on the highway. So I look out the window, and here's Mary is like steering the truck, and Paul is towing it, and they're like, hopefully nobody's around watching us do that. But they managed to get it out on the highway, and for about 2 weeks afterwards, I saw that truck on the side of the road every day when I went into work. I thought, oh, I hope nobody saw that. Well, eventually it got red tagged and towed away. But, I will forever be grateful to Mary. That truck might still be there if it hadn't been for Mary and Paul. So Barb, favorites.
Did you want to say
I did,
something? Okay.
or I do.
Can I borrow a guitar?
You borrow mine, boy.
Is this cool?
That's mine. Yeah, that's
All right,
mine. You
thank you.
just don't let it get out of tune.
Mary, I met Mary at one of the first Sundays in the park, and they weren't well attended in those days, and Jimmy Stadler was playing. Mary was the first and the only one there, and she sat on her blanket, and I hadn't met her, and I walked in the park, and here's this gal just enjoying it, like everything, whooping during the song, and I had to meet her. So that's how we met. And then we found out by talking, we both knew Paul LeBlanc, and we came up with a verb. We had been called. I know. But she was part of the Pretty Good String Band, which Bev started. I want to give credit where credit is due. And after Red Molly came, cool, Pam.
Sorry.
That was Red Molly.
Which changed our lives. Anyway, she would come to the Pretty Good String Band just to sing, and she sang alto beautifully. And we would sing this song, and sure. Anyway, here's the song. It's a Red Molly song. If you want to sing with me, that's fine. It's called Old Dancin' Fool. I ain't no dancer, never have been one. I let it all out, keep it all in on the inside, down in the dark, where it belongs. But I know a dance was the one thing you wanted, to turn on the floor, unshackled, undaunted, holding on to each other and humming along with the song. I might be mistaken, but ain't that waltz they're playing? The dance floor is full, couples are spinning and swaying and swaying. If a dance was a diamond, I would have bought it. Anything, honey, you want it, you got it. Whatever it takes, I'll do my best to come through. So comes, baby, I'd be delighted if you would accompany me out on the floor for a turn with an old dancing fool. Well, I might be mistaken, but ain't that a waltz they're playing? The dance floor is full, couples are spinning and swaying, and swaying. And then here comes the break. If we close our eyes, hold on to each other, who knows, baby, we may discover that the world slips away. We can dance without moving at all. So let the night go by, let the lights turn blue. You hold on to me, I'll hold on to you, let it all slip away for a turn with an old dancing fool. Let it all slip away for a turn with an old dancing fool.
Pam, I think you wanted to say something?
I did. Well, I just wanted to talk about when I first got to know Mary. I met Mary at church, but I was married to Ray, and we weren't very social, basically, but he died. And the day he died, I just couldn't stop crying. I just was crying and crying. And so I called Bev, because I knew she'd lost her husband, and I asked her if she could come over and be with me. And she comes over with Mary and a bunch of wine. And so we had wine, we had a really good time, and then it started with us going down to the wine line and a number of things like that. And I don't know if that's for sure the beginning of the Wild Women, but I think it was, because Sharon Langfeld joined us, and various other people joined us. But
Christine, didn't she join too?
Yeah,
Deb
eventually.
Christine, yeah,
right.
definitely.
Carol Breback.
Yeah, Carol. Anyway, but she got me through my grief. Maybe part of it was putting off my grief, but it was the most wonderful friendship. And we would laugh, and we would talk about sex. And Mary always wanted to talk about sex. So, anyway, that's something I'm very grateful for, and I'll always love both Bev and Mary for saving me that way. And thank you.
That was the end of people who signed up, but there are some people who came in later, so if any of you would like to say something, please come on up. Come on, Joni.